What's good? All right, so I want to do a video with all this discussion. I still see these stupid fucking arguments where people are like, is NG4 Ninja Gaiden? And I've seen this, like, nobody can really answer what that means. I've even seen, like, Jay, who, if you're not familiar, JTB123. First of all, if you somehow, like, have seen my content but haven't seen his, go fucking watch him. He's the best Ninja Gaiden Black player in the world, probably. But anyways, in one of his streams, he was talking about this, where he was like, what, when people say like it's not NG, like what does that even mean? Because every NG plays significantly differently. And you see this with NG4. People are like, oh, it's not NG. It's a good action game, but not NG. So like, what does this mean? Nobody can answer this except for me. I can answer this, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I can answer this. So when we look at action games, and this doesn't just apply to Ninja Gaiden, this actually applies to all Team Ninja games. I only have one monitor right now, so I'm going to make sure I'm recording. Okay. Cool. Okay. This applies to all Team Ninja games. So when we look at action games, there are essentially two types of action games out there other than Team Ninja. There are the type of action games where it's all on the player. So think Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, God of War, Metal Gear Rising, where your enemy engagement is not the appeal. The appeal is what the player can do. The player's doing all these flashy combos, they're fucking fast as hell, they're doing, whatever they want to do. That's what a lot of action games go toward. Then on the other side, we have games that heavily focus on enemy engagement. Think Souls games. Souls games are the antithetical to Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, right? In a Souls game, like the player's combat is like, I don't think it's bad. Like a lot of action game fans think Souls games, they just talk shit. It's such shitty combat. It's not like bad. It's not great combat though. The focus of a Souls game, like the combat part of a Souls game, is enemy engagement, which is why boss fights are such a big part of it, because like they make really good boss fights, and they From Software makes really sure that the way the player engages with the boss is really good, even if the combat is a bit more limited. I think Sekiro falls under this as well. Sekiro doesn't have great combat. Like, it's pretty fucking boring and bland when you, like, boil it down. However, like, Sekiro has great bosses, and, like, the way you engage with enemies and bosses is great. What sets Ninja Gaiden apart is it has both, and Neo applies to this as well. Rise of the Ronin applies to this as well. It has both. The way you engage with enemies is good. It's engaging. It's fun. You can't just like spam offensive combos. However, so you need to have that like good, dance people call it, which is fucking stupid, but whatever. The way you engage with enemies is very, very important. It's not like Devil May Cry, where you basically are just like spamming combos, and then you'll maybe hear like an auditory cue of an enemy about to attack, and you just jump real quick and you're back to spamming your offensive combos, or you're literally just like jump canceling off somebody's head or something like this, right? Ninja Gaiden doesn't allow that. You can't just like spam your combos and then like quickly like jump or quickly dodge and be totally safe to start spamming your combos again. And this applies to all Ninja Gaiden games, and we're gonna like take a look, just like I did in one of my previous videos. We're gonna take a look at some clips. All the Ninja Gaiden clips will be mine, the other games won't. So here's Ninja Gaiden Sigma. This is the first Fiend challenge you can get in Sigma. It's like just a super fun Fiend challenge to me. You can see here, like, I'm not able to just straight up, like, in Ninja Gaiden 1 doesn't have, like, the flashiest or, like most intricate combat or whatever, but it's still really, really good combat. But you're constantly having to engage with enemies. It's more mellow in NG1 than the other NG games, because it's just like a slower pace, but you are having to constantly make sure you're aware of what the enemies are doing, and you're going to get haste straight slash instead of fiend sealer constantly, and you go through your flow. Then we look at NG2 and we have like the same thing. Again, this is my footage. This is the church fight, which is one of the most iconic fights. NG2 enemy engagement is a little bit different than in every game. The enemy engagement is a little bit different. In NG2 specifically, when you have these incendiary shuriken ninja fights, you're basically having to it's hard to explain this, but it's very similar to NG4 in a lot of ways, to where you can see here I'm constantly guillotine throwing, I'm constantly trying to get OTs, and this is basically to just stay in iframes. I'm literally at a pixel of health here, and I haven't even gotten hit by an attack. All of that damage is just from fucking explosions blowing up around me. But in NG2 vanilla, you kind of have to just like be comfortable with it. But you can see here I'm constantly engaging with enemies. I'm doing my guillotine throws. I'm throwing them against the wall to get a delim so I can get my OTs. I'm engaging with the enemies, and I'm doing cool fun shit with Ryu. Ninja Gaiden 4, this is my crowd control tutorial I did. Well, very, very similar to it. It's like a mix of both, like of NG1 and NG2 in a lot of ways with how you engage with this. I'm having to do prioritize my enemies. I have to take out my ranged enemies. In Ninja Gaiden 2, this would be taking out mages if there's like a mage in the fight, because they're your, ranged enemies. I'm getting my OTs. I'm doing a shitload of guillotine throws, and I'm still having to engage with the enemies. I'm not just spamming offensive combos here. I'm not allowed to. And this is only a purgatory challenge. And I nerfed my health. I think I did like Realm of the Beast, I think it's called, where you have 45% of your health, so not the worst. But you're not able to just like sit there and like do flashy shit and then just kind of like get out of the way. And a lot of people were worried with like perfect dodges and stuff like this, that you would be able to just like get the fuck out of the way of anything and not have to worry about how you're engaging with the enemy. But you can clearly see here that that is not the case. I'm still having, guillotine throws I think are more important in this game than any other game. I'm still prioritizing my enemies. I'm still trying to get my fast D-limbs and all of that. I'm still engaging with the enemy as I'm doing my offensive combos. Now let's look at Iconoclast, who is just a really good player. I've mentioned it before. But in Bayonetta 2 here, him doing Infinite Climax, which is the hardest, thing in the game, he's not engaging with the enemies like in a defensive manner. It's literally just doing your offensive combos, your offensive attacks, and then doing I don't know why the quality looks like such shitty, but this is what people were like worried about NG4 was going to be, but it's not, because NG4 still has the proper enemy engagement, and that means offensively and that means defensively. Then again, let's take a look at some Devil May Cry. I don't know who this dude is, but it looked like some pretty good DMC 3 footage, and I chose DMC 3 specifically so people can't say like, oh well, DMC 5 isn't the same as how it was. But he's not worried about what the enemy is doing in the slightest. He's just doing his offensive combos, and he's waiting for an audio cue. As soon as he gets that audio cue, he's jumping into the air, and he's not even really having to like worry about it. And this is on Dante Must Die. This is the hardest difficulty of the game. Oh, well, this is, whatever mission. I'll just randomly click on another one, and we'll see what this one is like after we watch my YouTube ad, because, YouTube ads are fucking ridiculous. Okay. So again, there should be a good fight after this. So again, you're not having to like play defensively in the slightest. You're literally just able to go complete offensive and just do whatever you need to do for your iframes, when somebody decides to attack, which in Devil May Cry's case is typically jumping. That's typically the safest way. You get iframes during your jump animation, but there's no crowd control, there's no defense, there's no enemy engagement. And the funny thing is in Ninja Gaiden 1, you actually, like people say like it's the most defensive, but it's also like, God, I hate that so bad in this game. I hate that in Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden Sigma, when you try to do a fucking Fiend Sealer and he just does haste straight slash. In NG1, you really actually, it's very weird, because it's the most defensive but the less defensive in a lot of ways, because you're never like super overwhelmed in Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden Black or Sigma. you still have to be like super aware of what the enemies are doing, and you still using things like wind paths and shurikens, and but you're not really having to guillotine throw people a lot. Enemies die pretty quickly. You're, just a quick wind path, and you can pretty much like just pick off your targets like one at a time. It's very like deliberate and precise. And again, let's take a look at the church fight. I'm not like the best Ninja Gaiden 2 player in the world, but I'm okay, I think. And like, I'm getting stun locked here, but I'm essentially just making sure I'm abusing. It is a lot of like iframe abuse in this game, but I'm trying not to just rely on like obviously like UT spamming or Nimpo spamming or something like this. So again, the fact that you're getting your iframes through your enemy engagement, through guillotine throws, through obliteration techniques, through wind paths, even UTs to this extent, your defense and your offense are connected. And that is how you are engaging with the enemies. You're not just able to pull a Bayonetta or a Devil May Cry and just spam your combos. And look at that there. This is like such a Ninja Gaiden thing here. I'm getting swarmed by I don't even know how many enemies here. All I can do is hold block. Maybe I could have tried to parry, but it wouldn't have been worth it in that situation. It's better just to hold block, go target the people you're going to target, look for your, this looks exactly how I was playing Ninja Gaiden 2, except there's not incendiary shuriken in me. There's enemies that are, is spamming very hard hitting attacks. And the tracking in this game is insane. And I'm gonna talk about the whole suck to magnet shit a little bit later, but the point of this is the answer to what makes Ninja Gaiden. The definitive answer is the offensive and defensive enemy engagement. It's not like a Souls game is on one end of the spectrum, where you aren't doing a lot of like really cool like offensive shit. The majority of your interactions are defensive, right? Blocking, dodge rolling, waiting for openings. You're looking at the attack patterns, waiting for an openings. When you look at Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Rising, and Bayonetta, it's the exact opposite of this. You're not really giving a shit what the enemy is doing. You are just doing your offensive thing, and you are damaging them to die. It's just, I'm going to do enough damage to them until they die without really worrying about what they're doing. He's not worried about what any enemy is doing here. He's just taking them off one at a time, going for his offense. Your offense is your defense in these games, other than whatever one defensive maneuver that these games have. Metal Gear Rising, your basically one defensive maneuver is a parry. In Devil May Cry, you're basically, and there's more than this, but this is like the main thing that you rely on 99% of the time. Your one defensive movement is a jump. Bayonetta, your one defensive movement is essentially a dodge. Yeah, there's like some accessories you can use to where like it's kind of like a Metal Gear Rising parry type of thing, but that's not like the focus. The focus is the one defensive movement, and it is a dodge. So dodge, jump, parry. Ninja Gaiden 2. Guillotine throws, blocking, obliteration techniques, wind paths, shurikens, ultimate techniques, Azuna drops. Ninja Gaiden 1. When, all of the same shit from Ninja Gaiden 2, it's just toned down. Ninja Gaiden 4. All of the same shit as Ninja Gaiden 2. Wind paths, guillotine throws, fucking obliteration techniques, throwing an enemy across the screen so you're getting some of them out of your way, or maybe you can go target one of them. Like, yes, you do have that perfect dodge here, but is this perfect dodge completely like negating my need to still interact with the enemies on that, that more intricate level? No, it's not. I'm still having to do everything I had to do in Ninja Gaiden 2. I'm still having to try to like isolate the enemies I want to take out. I'm still trying to get D-limbs so I can have some sort of iframes when there's a fucking red attack coming down out of nowhere on me, or when one of these guys tries to attack me and I'm coming out of a UT or whatever, right? Again, I'm not just like perfect blocking and parrying and dodging. That shit's like pretty hard to pull off. It's a lot safer, and there's one parry. Okay, I did one parry, my bad. But the parry's fun. It's just not, something when you're like surrounded super heavily. It's not something you're going to be like fishing for. It's not like Sekiro where, again, Sekiro. It's like at Sekiro, you have your one defensive technique. And, this is the only, like, this is like similar to like what you have in MGR with this like insta kill technique. But this instant kill technique isn't something you're like crutching on. And I don't think it is. I'm not a big like. I don't like Metal Gear Rising at all. But I do, from what I understand in Metal Gear Rising, that's not something you can really like crutch on at all either. It's just something you can kind of like pull off. But look at this here. This dude's attacking the shit out of me. So I want to take out this grenade launcher guy because that's super important. Here's another grenade launcher guy I need to take out, or he's gonna fucking shit on me. And if you didn't have like, I love the pace of NG4 because enemies are just so fucking aggressive, and the fact that they can track you so good, just I like it. People don't. I like it because it just forces you to like constantly be aware, but they give you the tools to deal with it. The fact that you have a perfect dodge and a parry allows them to get away with these like super like hellbent aggressive enemies. You have ways to deal with it. You can use your traditional NG mechanics, but if somebody is coming at you from across the screen and you only have like half of a second to a few frames essentially to react to it, you need a perfect dodge. But that's fine. That doesn't ruin the offensive and defensive engagement that, sets Ninja Gaiden apart. And like I said, this goes to like Neo too, from the other action games that exist. So, when somebody tries to say this game is Ninja Gaiden, this game isn't Ninja Gaiden, what does that mean? And it's just a bunch of circle jerk bullshit. Well, all Ninja Gaiden games have this one philosophy. All other action games don't have this philosophy. Like, they just don't. All you're doing is focusing on offense. You're not engaging with the enemy where you're having to use like a myriad of different defensive techniques in order to like control the situation. None of these games do this. That doesn't make them bad games, but that's what makes Ninja Gaiden different and, in my opinion, better. I like Souls games. I like Dante, I like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta to some extent. I'm not like a huge, I'm not running like a bunch of DMD and Infinite Climax runs like I am Master Ninja runs, but I appreciate them or whatever. Metal Gear Rising I don't really like, just not my thing, whatever. But yeah, so there we go. It's fucking settled. And if anybody like really has an argument against what I've said, fucking share it in the comments. Let's see. But I really doubt anybody would be able to like actually put a cogent, coherent example of how this is incorrect in the comments or anywhere, because it's just not correct. So when you see people like Farnham and shit who are literally saying, oh, it's not Ninja Gaiden. No, it is Ninja Gaiden. It's not Metal Gear Rising. It's not Bayonetta. It does not follow those philosophies. Just because Yakumo can do some flashy shit doesn't mean it's like not NG. You are still following those same rules of enemy engagement, those same rules of how you're playing defensively and offensively at the same time. So yeah, I am going to do a video about like things I think this game could improve on as well. That's going to be the next thing I do, because there are things I would like to see improved upon. However, this specific aspect is not one of them because they fucking nailed it. So yeah, shut the fuck up. Peace.